The inaugural NoMad Jazz Festival runs August 9th through the 10th in Madison Square Park in Manhattan. The festival is presented by the Nomad Alliance in partnership with the Jazz Gallery, Flatiron Nomad Partnership, and Madison Square Park Conservancy. And one of the headliners of the inaugural NoMad Jazz Festival is someone very dear to WBGO, and that is the incomparable LIzz Wright. Liz, great to see you.
Great to be with you, Doug.
This festival, I was just talking to Michael Mayo about this, being that it's the inaugural festival, that has to be fun because it's always, it's great to be a part of the, the more well-known festivals. To be part of the first of any festival has to be exciting.
I'm really honored, and I really feel such affection for the folks at the Jazz Gallery. I miss Dale Fitzgerald as well, and they showed up for me early in my career, so I am delighted to be here for their inaugural Nomad Festival. So
Just one stop and an incredible tour as you continue to show off your wonderful 2024 album, Shadow. How has the tour been going so far?
it's been great. It's been really wonderful. I'm thankful for how this record has opened up some more doors to theaters and hearts in the Americana and folk crowd. I'm really happy that they hear themselves in this too. So I'm always glad when I can sing the song that brings people together. Yeah.
I get somewhat emotional when I get to talk to Liz Wright because it was back in 2003 with her incredible recording of Salt that she came into the studios to talk to Gary Walker, and there she was. And I have never forgotten that voice live ever since. And every time I hear her, it takes me right back to that spot because it's one of my favorite voices of all time. Shadow, you talked about the response, so many people from all different aspects of life enjoying this. For you, your grandmother Martha passed away, and the Southern Georgian roots of this album from her shine through. I've heard you talk. She didn't fear anybody. It was always about love, humility, and humor, and inspired you so much. Take us into the humorous part of grandmother.
She's so cute. My grandmother's really beautiful. She had this way of being like this beautiful, crumbly kind of muffin of a woman, just absolutely sweet and just so unassuming. But she really had a way of making everybody feel at home, and but it was also very difficult to be, I don't know, like mean or aggressive with her. I always joke and say, I really wish that I don't know, people who are supposed to be famously edgy could have spent some time with her. Like Putin, for instance. I was like, if I just closed him in the room with Martha, there's no way he'd come out the same. Just absolutely no way. She just had such a warmth, and she was just so funny in her way of seeing things. But she also had great empathy. I think that's why she was fearless. She really could feel what was going on with people. I don't know how she did that. Someone that I thought was a real bully, one time my grandmother met this person and said, "It's just lonesome." That's how she said it. So I've always been asking life to bequeath me with this kind of compassion and this kind of care and awareness, so that I can, you know, even when places where there are darkness, there's still more to see. So she left me with this beautiful way of wanting to see the world, and I just hope I continue to grow, in that kind of way of just seeing people. But yeah, she just was so unassuming. She never really showed much anger. She'd get upset, but she had such a sweetness that you really just wanted to please her. And it worked on everybody. I don't know how she did it. It's a Southern thing, I suppose.
Hmm. And Shadow, in many ways, is a tribute to her, at least some of the songs.
Oh,
So,
yes.
so as you're performing all over the world, she's right there with you. I know she always is, but as you sing
Oh,
these songs,
yeah.
what do they mean to you now?
Absolutely. I have always wanted the world to know, some of the reason why you feel a very big warmth from me is her. It's the way she taught me how to love and how to pay attention to other people, how to be aware of what's more than myself. And I spent some time with her as a little girl in the summers, and I'd just be in the truck with she and my grandpa. My grandfather was a carpenter, and they would go to different people's houses and do jobs for them. And I was just sitting squished between them, but I learned so many things that have to do with who I am and I'm still trying to be. I'm just super grateful. I wanted to make sure people knew that, it wasn't just me. Like I come from a lineage of people who care and who love and who ministered, who nurtured their communities, who fed their people through all kinds of times, And so this is a part of my legacy that's in my blood that I'm very proud of and thankful that I have found different ways to express and extend.
What part of your musical background did she love the most?
Grandma was always happy when I was singing gospel. That's what she wanted. She wanted me to sing for the Lord.
I'm not
And
surprised. I'm not surprised.
yeah, exactly. So she was very devout and very sincere woman. She took me to church one time, and the place was so humble that their flooring wasn't done well. And when they got to really shouting and getting on with the music and stuff, I mean for one, the keyboard was out of tune with the guitar, but they started dancing and I felt the floor rocking and I said, wow. So I remember being with her and I'd already had a record deal by that time. And so to go from New York and talking to all these incredible people that I was just getting to know and then going home and hanging out with her and in a church that had, very bad flooring, but was just grooving. And you could just stand there as still as a board and you end up kind of just hopping along with the beat because the floor was unsteady. I just am so grateful that I've always had this range of like remembering where I come from, of making everything out of nothing, and really celebrating life. So taking that humble joy to the big stages has been really something I felt called to do.
I invite you to check out when Liz Wright joined us for uh, a talk back about the PBS special, The Black Church. Some wonderful insight to
Mm.
Liz's background, both with gospel and the church. You can check out that documentary and you can check out our conversation by going to the website. How about Chicago? You get a chance to record this album in Chicago, and I know that was special for you.
Oh, it was so great. Doug, I'll go anywhere where Ryan Freeland is. He is just an incredible engineer. He works with some really remarkable artists, and he's been my favorite. I got to work with him on the Grace Project, and he's a pianist, and I love his presence and the way he hears things in the studio. It's very easy to try things and push things and really, really find the best take in myself while he's there. So he just has a great way of working that just makes it easy for me to really push myself and be very, very focused and relaxed. So when I realized he was moving back to Chicago, we were actually backstage at a Bonnie Raitt concert at Ravinia, and and he said, "Yeah, I'm moving back here. Like this is my wife's family's here. I want to bring the kids here." I was like, "Oh my gosh, man! Listen, if you set your studio up in the basement of the kitchen, I'm coming." And sure enough, that's where I got to record Shadow, and I was one of his inaugural artists down there, and yeah, we just hang out, with his dog and get it done. And it's just wonderful to be able to get in my truck and go 20 minutes to, across town and yeah, be in another world.
I'm always curious how artists put sets together, especially when you're touring the world. And so now at the NoMad Jazz Festival, how do you decide what you're going to play at this festival coming up? You'll be performing on August 9th.
Yes, great question, Doug. It's really important to if I'm outdoors to sing things that translate well outdoors. I think sometimes my strongest moments can be very intimate ones musically, but I also, have a way of keeping myself in the upper part of both my register and my energy. So I think a lot about that. New York is such a special place, and also it just really depends on the equipment. Sometimes you can create a moment of great intimacy outdoors, which can be very, very beautiful. So I just try to cooperate with the elements and pay attention to the energy of the people. New York is such a beautiful, inspiring city. I always secretly say that I'm still a New Yorker inside, like way down in the core. So it's always a bit of coming home for me. Those were formidable years. Um, being there in the city, and I have friendships that I will keep forever. So I'm just really excited to come to my other home to sing to you all, and so honored to be out in Madison Square Park. That's pretty exciting.
Obviously, one of the reasons that Liz Wright connects with so many people emotionally and musically, she has a vast background. She's already talked about, her gospel roots, her grandma, Southern Georgia, Chicago, New York City, culinary aspects. Talk a little bit about this whole food aspect. You see the size of me, Liz. You know food is always going to come into play when I know somebody is into food.
Doug, I actually have on my chef's jacket right now. Um, yeah, I love food. My father is a beautiful gardener. I come from a family of really tremendous gardeners. We've always found a way, and we've always made relationships around what we could do with growing food. So when I realized one day, probably in my late teens, that I was about to be the first generation that didn't know how to grow food, I was like, that won't do. So I moved out to North Carolina, and I learned how to have my own garden. And then I just kind of went nuts. I really wanted to make sure I kind of knew what I wanted to do with food. So I did take a chef's training course in New York called at the Natural Gourmet Institute, which is now closed. But it was started by a Dutch woman, Anna Marie Colvin, and she really taught food as medicine, especially preventative medicine. So I really enjoy looking at it that way. I've been very fortunate to come to this place called Little Black Pearl Art and Design Academy here in Chicago. It's a Chicago landmark here on the South Side, and it was a high school when I first came here, and I got to get involved with setting up a really simple cafe with the staff here and the students, and we just had a blast. I mean, a lot of them had never seen any food come out of the ground, so they were so tickled. I mean, these were teenagers. It's like giggling and like confused about dirt, and just really showing the kind of childhood glow. And I always heard horror stories about the kids in Chicago, but they're absolutely beautiful. And I'm so happy to be here. I love the community. I love seeing my neighbors. I love knowing them by name. And I love knowing what they like. And so, my father had a church. I got a cafe, with incredible baristas, and I bake biscuits from scratch and quiche and all kinds of things. And so yeah, this is my little church, my little garden, and I love feeding people and seeing them. So when I'm not on stage, I can't just sit by the phone and wait for the next gig. I need to be out serving people because this is what brings me joy.
How has that changed you as an artist?
Doug, it's been really wonderful. I feel more relaxed. Um, I feel closer to people. I feel some of their aches and pains because I'm on my feet sometimes for 8 hours plus. And I really appreciate the experience of service. You kind of run into a lot of things. I used to fear being so close to people and having to kind of manage. Um, but I realized that how much love I really have to give. And so by the time I get on stage, I have all these little nuances of story and emotion from just trying to do good and be good, and from being exposed to people, from trying and failing and figuring out and finding grace, and all these things have added a level of depth and a kind of soft courage to the delivery of music, and I'm very thankful for it. I didn't know it would be such a direct inspiration. Didn't expect that.
The tour continues after this and got some great spots. Maybe you want to talk about that. And also, what what's been like the best comment from another country? Somebody in another country has come up to you and said, "Oh, Liz, I love you because this."
Wow, that's a great question. You know, the best compliment I think I've ever received. God, there's been so many that have been interesting. But it's just like someone was like, you know what? You and I, to your unawares, have been through chemo together. I have been alone in rooms and didn't even know how to pray or think. And it was just you and me. And I need you to know, Liz, that because of what you put out in the world, I was not alone when it mattered most. I'm so emotional, Doug. That
Wow.
meant so much to me. That meant so much to me. I mean, it's a dream to be told something like that, because the truth is like I am so happy. that someone who really didn't need to be alone didn't have to be. So that's always going to top all the others for me.
Yeah, because that brings you to music, family, church, brings it all together, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. And I always, I don't consider myself the most directly religious person, but I certainly want to keep with the tradition of and the practice of just, caring for people and being present. I love a life of purpose and joy. This is what gives me power is serving. So, there's nothing really lowly about it to me. It is like a practice of like self-development and self-mastery. And so people are really beautiful. There's always a lot to sing about, always a lot to write about. So certainly not going to run out of inspiration anytime soon.
Last question for you, because I know
Uh-huh.
you're busy, but on Shadow, is there a particular tune that has changed or meant something different to you now than when you first recorded it after performing it live?
Ooh, Doug, with the questions. Yes, sir. Um, yes. I wrote the song Sparrow remembering a tornado that passed through my hometown. But since then, I have, I call it a resting place out in Western North Carolina, and it's just outside of Asheville. And that area has experienced incredible devastation. The creek near my spot is 6 times wider. I mean, I'm so thankful that my little cottage didn't slip off the mountain because it very well could have. It's really just been so much destruction at the foot of the same mountain where I have my place. A whole town, Lake Lori's is missing. It's just gone. So I now have this same song um, that I wrote about living through a storm in my childhood, and now I'm remembering uh, what it means to be overwhelmed by outside forces, nature or anything else, and to really hold on to what's dear, which is really just love and kind of knowing who you are. And it's really important to wait in a way where you have enough energy to rebuild with joy, to rebuild with inspiration, to rebuild with wisdom. So I'm thankful for all the things I'm having to learn now. We're having to see where the water lines are and how to clean things up and move a lot of earth. And it's been a very transformative experience. So having this song in my pocket, having this chorus, let it rain, let it rage, you know, um, just wait with me while we let go of everything that we don't actually need. This is a kind of working meditation at this point. It's really helping me as I deal with some major landscaping projects with my neighbors that none of us can afford to try to rebuild our homes and take care of each other out there.
Is there any reason after listening to this artist that you're going to miss August 9th's performance? You have to be there. Anytime LIzz Wright is performing, it's a must. And it's the NoMad Jazz Festival. It runs August 9th through the 10th in Madison Square Park in Manhattan. But LIzz will be performing on August 9th. LIzz Wright, it's always an honor to talk to you. Continued success. You are a treasure.
Thank you so much.